Welcome. I'm Helene, and I wanted to get down here and put my thoughts on the record concerning Kennedy Carter being waived by my favorite, my team, Las Vegas Aces. We still gonna win the championship. That's neither here nor there. The topic at hand is let's talk about Kennedy Carter. In the thumbnail, I asked the question, is Kennedy Carter the WNBA's Isaiah Ryder? And what I mean by that is, for whatever reasons, franchises would take a chance on Ryder, but they would always come to some disagreement with the way he behaved on their franchise. And for some odd reason, he could never stick with a franchise. I love Kennedy Carter almost as much as I love the Aces. I have to say almost because in this regard, I'm still going to root for the Aces. I'm not backing off the Aces. However, I still love Kennedy Carter. Some things I want to address. So with her being waived, I watched a game in which she got injured. I believe she banged thighs going to the basket or I believe it's against Minnesota. I saw her get injured. Now I'm going off of me in my memory. Then she was on the injury list after that. She came back and played a game right off the injury list. And I recall her giving up her body to come back and recover on defense for somebody else who messed up on the turnover. And I believe she banged that leg again from just the perspective of watching the game. And then after that, she went back on the injury list. And then she stayed on the injury list for some time. I also remember the Chicago game coming up. Now, that was the game I was anticipating watching her play against Chicago Sky, because this was the last team that just severed ties, and she put her all on the altar. She had the kinfolk out there in Chicago who was her fans base, and still they cut her. And now she got her latest chance with the Aces, and they cut her. I mean, before they cut her, she had an opportunity to play the Chicago Sky. I was watching the game, and I was anticipating her getting more minutes than she got. And I was anticipating her being more dogged in her effort, like having a vendetta against Chicago. But it felt like her game was on autopilot against Chicago. I'm not saying good or bad, because Kennedy Carter autopilot ain't huff for nothing. But with that being said, she didn't get many minutes in that game, which was I even posted on Twitter when she was signed by the Aces, that Chicago game was going to be the game to look for. And it would seem it wasn't the game to look for. It didn't live up to the hype. And so going forward, and even before that game started, I recall her being in like street clothes, and they saying her being a possible. And then as the game progressed, they finally put her in the game, but you saw her suit up like middling in the game. So that spoke to some static that might be happening in the organization with Kennedy. Now, here's some things I learned via Twitter. There was a post that said, now this isn't my words, allegedly, there was a post that had where Kennedy Carter on Instagram took Aces out of her bio in June and then put it back up a little later and kept free agent in her bio in June. Now, fast forward, we in July. So, and that was like June 15th she did that. Another incident they were saying, somebody speculated, and I want to say this when it concerns Twitter and their speculation, they are radical, they are wild, they come out. Shout out to King Ty, shout out to Lake Camille. But they come out with the most wild speculations. But one of the speculations that I found interesting was somebody saying that they believe that Kennedy Carter is on the spectrum. And on the spectrum in the way in which she can't get what was the list that they gave? Some type of list of sentimentality, dysmorphia, some stuff like that, in which it's hard for her to take criticism and she's quick to deflect this, that, the third. Now, I don't know if any of that is the case because I'm not in that organization and I'm just a lowly layman fan. So I'm not going to put that on her jacket that any of that is the case concerning why they waived her. I do find it interesting that every organization is waiving one of the most talented players of our generation, one of the most talented basketball players of our generation keep getting waived. And at some point, there has to be a sincere investigation and analysis and report to us as fans is what's going on because we want to watch her play. And as the product was staying, we as the fans aren't seeing what is so detrimental that is obstructing or outweighing the value of what she can bring to what we want to see. At least me, I'm going to speak for me as it concerns what I want to see as far as the product is concerned. But if she is obstructive to the locker room, I saw again another Twitter post where there was a video. I forget the lady. She always do videos concerning the WNBA, and they're kind of funny and comical. And she did an analysis where she did a professional analysis of the situation, and then her real analysis of the situation. And in her professional analysis of the situation, she says, now, Kennedy Carter, whatever you're doing, you have to take into account that Teresa Weatherspoon stuck out her neck for you. And that opportunity and her credibility kind of weighed on your effort in these organizations. And you should have took some of that money to get some therapy and learn how to commune with a team and so to be able to platform your talents. But being that what it said in our professional view, in her personal view, we don't, and I'm with her with this, we don't care when it concerns people when it concerns if she blowing up the locker room. On the court, she is doing her job as far as we can see. Where else is you getting 20 off the bench just lackadaisical like that? Just because she can. Where else in any other sport where you can get 20 off the bench? Just cause. And if you gave more plays or more focal point to that type of talent, it'd probably be automatic. 30 off the bench. Jewel Lloyd come off the bench. And her talent is also capable of giving 30, 40, 50 points as her previous years has shown. Although she has not been able to consistently amass that over in the Las Vegas franchise history. But she does have that capacity. However, she also shows that she has something else that goes beyond her out and out offensive skill set that she has proven to be Hall of Fame and championship style, even prior to her arrival at the Aces. And that is her ability to be chameleon or what the team needs for the greater good of the victory. And what Jewel Lloyd has been is what I call string theory basketball. And what I mean by that is she finds a way to bring great value to the intangible play in the game while also offering the ability to do what she once could do ever so often. But you don't have to bank on that. And she understood that about herself. And she asked to come off the bench. The thing is, to add to that, not only was she able to adapt her game and be more defensive oriented and more uh, offensive giving, meaning she was willing to give the assist pass or willing to give the screen to as a guard to another guard or to a big and the back screens for bigs to set them up. She was willing to do the intangible that was not going to show up in the stat play. Her other gift, I guess, not other gift, I guess it would lend to the ultimate ability for her to even make those adjustments in her game is her personality to be able to make that adjustment in the game, to be say, well, if I can't be helpful for in what I once was good at, why don't I find ways to be a great teammate in other ways? I don't know what's going on with Kennedy Carter because it's not talent. She came out and showed she does this. I don't know. Here's another element that we're not exploring as well. Are other people intimidated by Kennedy Carter's game? I'm an Aces fan. I love the Aces. I love the Aces down. I'm forever riding with the Aces. Go Aces. We finna win the championship. Now, with that being said, once again, when Kennedy Carter is in certain organization, her ability at a rate or at a level in which seems almost she takes for granted how great she is, right? That would irritate the next man on any given Sunday. That's on your team. And especially coupled that with reported, and I don't know, I'm just saying what is reported, personality traits that cause locker room tension. If that is the case, then people are not going to be helpful to a game that is that great. They're not going to pass the ball to that. They're going to let it linger in the corner. That it's going to make it prove that it needs to be rewarded by you needing to show up on a defense extraordinarily so just to get your teammates to even give you a look on offense if they're not feeling you at all, right? So you can have a game from the gods, from the greatest of gods. But if your teammates ain't feeling the greatest of God's game, they not gonna allow you to come into the fold as well as it could be. Now, for whatever reason that may be induced in their reasons to leave her out of the fold. And I'm just saying hypothetically, because I don't know if this to be the case. I've only seen certain instances on the court where I've seen passes that should have gone to Kennedy that people overlooked not once, not twice, three times from three different options in the same play. So I'm not saying this to pull it out my ass. I'm saying it using evidence. And with that evidence, I'm saying, what is it that is tickling or disturbing the locker rooms Kennedy Carter is showing up in? Because she is too freaking talented for us not to explore the question. Because we as fans want to see her on the court. And what is obstructing that in her game that is not allowing us to see that? What is now allowing the organization to go, I don't care how messed up your personality is, your talent is so uber great that I'm gonna keep you on my team because the fans want you. They don't care about the fans wanting us to see her. So what is the thing that's going? We don't care. What is it in Kennedy's game that's going to each organization? Because in Chicago, Kennedy had a fan base called the Kinfolk. They flew to Vegas. How I know? Because when I went to see the Aces in Vegas, because I am an Aces fan, when I came out the arena, Kinfolk had on t-shirts deep, and I want to say into the at least 100 of them coming out of the arena with them shirts on, Kinfolk shirts. Now, an organization had people who had merchandise with her name on it say, this woman who has a game that's beyond other people's talent on this planet Earth, we'll do without it. We okay. We don't care that you can sell a t-shirt. Fuck that. You can go. What is going on in the streets, in the franchises? I want to know. We are owed this conversation. With that being said, I'm going to land my plane. I think I said enough on the matter. I'm going to ride with Aces on this one. I love Aces. I love Kennedy Carter too. And I'm not splitting hairs. I'm not splitting hairs by saying that. I know it sounds like straddling the fence that I say I love Aces and I'm not going against the Aces and I'm not going against Kennedy Carter. However, I want to know, why would Aces give up Kennedy Carter? Y'all owe us explanations, Aces. I'm right with you to the. I still want y'all to win the championship. I still know we gonna win the championship. But why isn't Kennedy Carter still on the team? What had happened? We are owed that. And to the ethos, tell the future, I said so.